For too long, Bean Soldier has been a card that has just been memed on by the community for its hysterical design and funny name. While some people have tried to make decks for it that end up at table 500, very few people have actually been able to make a competitively viable deck around the card. Well, today, thanks to the PRIMITE archetype, I've done just that. So buckle up and enjoy my Tier 0 Bean Soldier PRIMITE deck profile. Look out, Ryzeal, because you're not ready for this one. For the monsters, I play, of course, the main man himself. 3 copies of Bean Soldier. You know, this is the guy, the lad himself. Very memeable card, and it's time he got his own deck. But what's interesting is, because he's a normal monster, it means we can play a certain engine to go with it. And that would be the PRIMITE engine. So we play 3 copy of Ether Barrel and 1 copy of Imperial Dragon, because at the end of the day, Bean Soldier still is like kind of a weak card, so if you need to tribute it off for Imperial, that works fine. I also play 3 copies of the Earth Channeler, and the reason I do is because you can discard, if you have extra of either Bean Soldier or Dragon in your hand, you can discard it along with Earth Channeler to search out whatever you need, whether it's a copy of Dragon or a copy of Bean Soldier. Now, here's the thing. PRIMITE isn't the only engine I'm playing in this, and it's also the reason why we're playing the Earth Channeler. I also play 3 copies of Argostar Glorious Aedra. We play ways in the deck to special summon out Bean Soldier, so this acts as a way to maybe make rank 4 plays off of Bean Soldier. The only thing is, it can get a little confusing since we have 2 normal summons in the deck, but you're not going to see a normal summon guaranteed, so it just helps boost consistency and gives you access to new lines. Now here's the thing, Argostar is not the only other engine we are playing in this deck. I am also playing the Fiendsmith engine, because I want this to be the biggest amalgamation of things that shockingly works and makes Bean Soldier good. And I would like to report that after testing this for a couple days, it is surprisingly consistent. So I play the Fiendsmith card because we can almost guaranteed make 2 monsters to make Closed Heaven if all else fails. Hi, editor here. After recording this, Moon ended up getting banned, so if you'd like to keep the Fiendsmith engine, I would just recommend playing 2 extra copies of Engraver, but if you want to take it out, just replace it with a hand trap of your choice. Back to the video. And then I also play 3 copies of Mulcharmy because you're probably going to need it. You can switch that out for any hand trap though, but that's all I have for the monsters. Now let's move on to the spells. For the spells, I play 3 copies of Unexpected Die. This is one of the main ways we get Bean Soldier out. We're either going to use Unexpected Die and Bait and Ash, or we'll use the PRIMITE cards. So I play 3 copies of Lordly Load, 3 copies of Roar, because again, this will help us summon out Bean Soldier and protect it for a turn. Granted, it is at the cost of 2,000 life points. And then also 1 copy of Drill Beam, because if Bean Soldier's out, we can negate and banish an opponent's card. I also play 1 copy of Tract, 1 copy of Home Stadium, 1 copy of Giant Slaying, which will give us access to potentially summon another copy of Glorious Aedra, 1 copy of Rhoda, 1 copy of Double or Nothing, since we can make a lot of rank 4 plays in this deck, 1 copy of Prosperity, and 1 copy of Called By. That's it for the spells. Now let's move on to the traps. For the traps, I play 1 copy of Lightning, 1 copy of Slayer, 1 copy of Swift. You could change this to another copy of Slayer if you wanted, but I just kind of wanted all 3. 1 copy of Angel Statue, and 1 copy of PRIMITE Howl. I know this probably looks just really weird to look at, but give me a second. Once we get into the extra deck and the test hands, you'll see this deck works surprisingly well, especially if your opponent doesn't like Ash or Called By You. Now let's move on to the extra deck. The extra deck, I play 1 copy of Desiree, 1 copy of Requiem, 2 copies of Link Spider. The reason I play 2 copies of Link Spider is so that way if you open like 2 or 3 Bean Soldiers in your hand, you can use 1 to make Link Spider, summon another one, use that one to make another Link Spider, and then link into something like Closed Heaven that takes 2 effect monsters. Hi, me again. For now, just replace this with IP Masquerena. Again, we'll get back to it, but since Moon is banned, just replace this with IP Masquerena for now. Fiendsmith Sequence, 1 copy of Silhouette Rabbit. This card will help you just in case you maybe don't get into the Argostar line and it just acts as another link too that can put out an additional negate. I also play 1 copy of SP because it's just, a very good card, and 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World because I figured if we play Moon and Underworld, it would be, pretty funny to just use a bunch of opponent's monsters to link into that. So for the Xyz, I play 1 Gaga Cowboy to win in time, 1 Adventurous Argostar, 1 copy of Utopia and Double Utopia, Baguska, if all else fails and we can just get out 2 level 4s, then we just, Floodgate, and then 1 copy of Typhon. Just in case we can't battle with an Xyz, I figure Typhon is a safe bet. That's it for the extra deck. Now let's go into a test hand. This is quite the test hand, I will say. So, it's definitely a brick. Well, let's see. Okay, so let's go Unexpected Die into Bean Soldier. Then normal summon Primite Dragon and use its effect to set Drill Beam. What's cool about this deck is there are a lot of options and a lot of lines you can go into in case you get kind of a brickier hand. So, that being said, we have options. We can activate Lordly Load, which we should, and use its effect to either search for a copy of Imperial Dragon or for a copy of Roar. If you go Roar, you'll have protection on Bean Soldier, but if you go Imperial Dragon, you just have an extra way to negate your opponent's cards. If nothing else, it's a good way to use Drill Beam without needing to keep Bean Soldier on the field. So, what are our options from here? Well, go into Baguska and pass. And then on our opponent's turn, in addition to having the Floodgate, we'll have Drill Beam. By revealing Imperial Dragon, we can just banish an opponent's card. This is not the greatest hand to showcase what the deck can do, so let's run through one more to see what we can start with. Okay, this I think is a good hand to showcase what the deck can do. So, we have options. Obviously, we'll go Unexpected Die to summon out Bean Soldier. Free monster, and we don't have to pay 2,000 life points. Then we'll activate Lordly Load to search for a copy of Drill Beam. Now, since we have Roar in hand, we can use Drill Beam to reveal Roar, and we'll have an additional negate. So we're just going to set Drill Beam. Then I would say from here, we could go into Link Spider. I would actually rather use the Earth Charmer to discard Bean Soldier and itself to search out Glorious Aedra. Then I'll normal summon Aedra and use its ability to banish itself and place the 2 traps from deck. I forgot we're gonna have to discard, so we are gonna work around that and try and keep Bean Soldier on the field so we can keep Drill Beam live. So let's do this. Move up Lightning by discarding Roar, activate Lightning to search for Home Stadium. Then we'll summon out Arion, use its effect to search for Giant Slaying. Then use Giant Slaying to search for a copy of Aedra and normal summon it. Then I'd activate Home Stadium. Then I would move Slayer up to the field to burn my opponent for 500 life points and bounce our copy of Lordly Load back to the hand. So at least now we have a card to discard for Drill, or to reveal for Drill Beam, should we need to get rid of Bean Soldier. Then I would use these 2 to make IP Masquerena. Then during the standby phase, we'll be able to use Adventurous Arion to place Slayer back onto our field. That way, on our opponent's turn, we can make either our copy of SP or go into our copy of Underworld Goddess. We'll get Slayer back and we'll burn for 500 for summoning it, and then have a negate by bringing it back to the trap zone. We'll also be able to bounce an opponent's card when it's summoned, and we'll be able to negate and banish a card off Drill Beam. So overall, I'd say this was like a pretty solid hand that leaves us with a couple of negates and a couple avenues we can work with. Let's do one more test hand before we pass it off to the editor. Now this is an interesting hand. It's very unfortunate we didn't draw into our copy of one of the Argostar starters, only because we would be able to discard Fabled Lurie, because unfortunately, this hand is pretty much just Fiendsmith. Which is okay, so let's give it a try. activate PRIMITE Roar, special summon Bean Soldier from deck. Normal summon Luri, link it off into Requiem. Activate Requiem, summon out Lacrima, and use Lacrima to send Engraver to the grave. Then shuffle back Requiem to summon out Engraver, then link off Bean Soldier into Link Spider, and special summon our other copy of Bean Soldier. Then link off Engraver and Link Spider into a copy of Sequence, then use Bean Soldier for another copy of Link Spider, and use Lacrima and Link Spider to summon out IP Masquerena. Then set our copy of Argo Star and use Sequence to shuffle back our three light fiend monsters and summon out our copy of Desiree. Then use Sequence and equip it to Desiree. It's a little unfortunate we didn't use Sequence as material, however, on our next turn we can activate Slayer to summon it. We won't get its effect, but we will be able to use it as material with IP. Oh, and then also for when you obviously get ashed, called by. So this board would leave us with IP into SP, SP banish 2, Desiree negate 2. Not the best hand, not the worst hand, but believe me when I say it was definitely more powerful with Closed Moon, because you were basically able to make full Fiendsmith combo every single turn. So it sucks a little bit that that's gone, but the fact that it's gone means that other decks can now play Yu-Gi-Oh again, which is probably a good thing. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to the editor and end the video.
Wow, an entire deck dedicated to beans, what the fuck? That's pretty crazy. Personally, I'm more of a Sonic Duck guy myself, but maybe we'll do a video on that in the future. Thank you for watching, and make sure to check out some of our newest videos here, like what are the most degenerate number monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh? You could be Baguskas on that list. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.